Okay, here are the starters for Tuesday. So we've got 175% of 8 is what number? So we set up our proportion with the 100 down at the bottom. We see that we have 175%. So that goes over the 100. We look for the out of, and this says out of 8, which means 8 is my whole. And then we're looking for the part. So in this case, the part's going to be bigger than the whole because 175 is bigger than 100. So we do 175 times 8, which is 1400. And then 100 times x is 100x. And we're looking for the number that you multiply 100 by to get 1400. And if you need to, we just divide that by 100, divide by 100, and x is equal to 14. So 175% of 8 is 14. We have our proportion. We've got what percent of 200 is 290. So we put our 100 here. We look and it says what percent, which means that's what we don't know. So we put an X. We look for the word of, and it's saying out of. So that gives us our whole thing, out of 200. And then that leaves us with 290 as the part. If you look, the 290 is bigger than the 200, so we're going to have a percent that's going to be over 100 because our 290 is bigger than 100. So we've got 290 times 100 is 29,000. And then 200 times x is 200x. We're looking for the number that we multiply 200 by to get 29,000. So we do 29,000 equals 200x. We divide by 200. And that's going to give us 145. And that's equal to x. So when we're talking about the percent, we've got 145% of 200 is 290. We set up our proportion. We've got 156 is what percent of 60? So we put our 100. We're looking for a percent, but we don't find one. It says what percent? So that's going to be x. We're looking for our whole. This says out of 60, which means that's the whole thing. And then 156 is our part. Those two things are equal. So we do 156 times 100 is 15,600. And 60 times x is 60x. Those two things have to be equal to each other. So 15,600 is equal to 60 times some number. To find out what that number is, we're just going to divide by 60 on both sides. 15,600 divided by 60 is equal to 260. And 60 divided by 60 leaves me with just that x that I was looking for. So the percent is 260%. I'm setting up my problem. This says 0.5% of what number is 3. So I put my percent in. In this problem, I have 0.5%, which is 0.5%. oops, I don't need that percent sign there, 5/10 of a percent. This says out of what number, which means I don't know what my whole is. So that's the thing I'm looking for. And then 3 is our part. So we do 3 times 100 is 300. And 5/10 times x is 5/10 x. Those two things are equal. So 300 is equal to half of an x, 5/10 of an x. So we're dividing by 5/10, dividing by 5/10, and that's going to give us 600 is equal to x. So 5/10 of a percent, or half of a percent, out of 600 is 3. Of the 60 students in 7th grade, 70% own a pet. How many of the 7th grade students own a pet? So we're setting up our proportion. We say that 70% own a pet. And it says of the 60 students in 7th grade, which means 60 is the total number, the whole number, and the part that own a pet is what I'm looking for. 60 times 70 is 4,200, and 100 times x is 100x. Those two things are equal to each other. So 100x is equal to 4,200. We're just dividing by 100. And x is equal to 42, which means 42 students out of the 60 own a pet. The last one is a pair of sunglasses is on sale for $26. The original price of the sunglasses was $40. What percent of the original price is the sale price? So we've got our proportion. In this problem, the question says what percent of the original price is the sale price, so we don't know what the percent is. The original price is the whole price of the sunglasses, and they're on sale for $26, which is the part that you're paying. 26 times 100 is 2,600, and 40 times x is 40x. Those two things have to be equal, so we're going to do 2,600 is equal to 40x. To get that answer, we have to divide by 40. 2,600 divided by 40 is 65. And 40 divided by 40 is x. So the percent, it is 65% of the original price.